So let's start in the Maimorim Melukotim. This Chelik Aleph. This is the 18th Maimer. This is Yud Gimel Tishrei, which is the Hilullah, the Yortzeit Hilullah of the Rebbe Maharash. That's technically a day before Erev Sukkot. It's Oir LeErev Chag HaSukkos. It's the night before the Erev of Chag HaSukkos, Tavshin Lamed Vov. Besukos Teshvu Shivas Yomim, that was the Maimer. It says over here in the note that they printed it that year, Erev Chag HaSukkos Tavshin Lamed Vov, that's when it was printed. Okay. All right, so let's learn, we'll do the Maimer inside. B'sayayte d'shmaya, Yud Gimel Tishrei, Hilullah d'Chag Admor Maharash, and Oir LeErev Chag HaSukkos, Hey Tavshin Lamed Vov, the eve of Chag HaSukkos in Tavshin Lamed Vov. All right. So we'll start with Basukos Teshvu Shivas Yomim. What is just the one thing here for a second? Let's see here. All right. So Basukos Teshvu Shivas Yomim. So the pasuk says that in a sukkah you should sit for 7 days, but then umoisiv oitzivui. Then the pasuk goes on another command. First, in the sukkah you should sit 7 days. Then it says, Kol ha'ezrach b'Yisrael yeshu b'sukkos. All the residents of live in Eretz Yisrael should sit in the sukkah. So you have two mitzvahs. Once basukkos teishvu, and then it says Kol ha'ezrach b'Yisrael yeshu b'sukkos. Then the pasuk gives the reason. Why does Hashem tell us to sit in the sukkah? V'hatam alzeh. So what's the reason for that? So the pasuk says, "Leman yedu dereseichem ki basukos yashavti es bnei Yisrael b'yitzi oisom eretz Mitzrayim." So that the generations to come should know that I settled the Yidden in Sukkot when I took them out of the land of Mitzrayim. So by the time of Yitzias Mitzrayim, the Eibishter gave the Yidden Sukkot. There's two opinions in the Gemara, but we go by the opinion that these were the clouds of glory. The Eibishter protected them from the wind, from the heat, from the cold, from everything by surrounding them with the Anane HaKoved. So in order the further generations should know that I have had the Bnei Yisrael sit in this sukkah when I took them out of Mitzrayim, that's why you should sit in sukkah. So this is the pasuk. So v'yidu hadiyukim bozeh b'mamorei rabbeinu nisienu. So it's already known the questions about this in the Maimorim of our Rebbes, our leaders. First, before the Rebbe is going to ask the questions on the pasuk, the Rebbe first brings down from the Rebbe Maharash. Of course, this is the Rebbe Maharash's Yortzeit. And the Rebbe Maharash, so before he gets involved in the pasuk, the Rebbe brings down from the Rebbe Maharash, who says that the sukkah has to do with shalom. The pasuk says, "Ufrois aleinu sukkahs shloimecha." Spread over us the sukkah of peace. So what's the connection the Rebbe is going to ask between sukkah and peace? Ubahagdi. First introducing Mashakosu Bal HaHilullah, this that the Bal HaHilullah, the Rebbe Maharash writes, this is in the Hemshech V'Kocha in Tov Reish Lamed Zayin. That's a very popular mimer of the Rebbe Maharash. So he writes, Shesukkah hu inyan hasholem. That sukkah is the idea when we say a sukkah is sholem. And he says, Mimashe Kosuv, because the Pasuk, Kemoshe Kosuv, as the Pasuk says, Ufrois Oleinu Sukkah Shleimecha, spread over us the Sukkah of peace. So, B'tzorich Lahavi, we need to understand, Mahi HaShaychus the Sukkah L'Sholem. What's the connection for Sukkah to Sholem? Why is Sukkah connected to Sholem? How is Sukkah Sholem? Why is it connected to Sholem? Okay, so that's the first thing he asks from the Rebbe Maharash that he brings in the Maimer in V'kocha. V'hinei, so the Rebbe says there's some other things that have to do with Sukkah. So here we're talking about Sukkah is Sholem. But there's other things. On Sukkahs, we know we take the 4 species, the Daled Minim. We also know that we bring Korbanes, special 70 Porim that we brought on the days of Sukkahs. And all these things also have a connection to Sukkahs. Besides the mitzvah of sitting in the Sukkah, there's other mitzvahs. So it says, V'hinei b'zayin yimei ha-Sukkos, on the 7th day of Sukkos, yeshnom kamo inyonim, there are many matters, hashayochim libasukkos teshvu shivas yomim. So that they have a connection to basukkos teshvu shivas yomim. So we're also going to want to, just like we asked the question by the Rebbe Maharash, what does it have to do with Sholem? We want to know what is the connection from the other items that we do on Sukkahs to the mitzvah that in a Sukkah you should sit for 7 days. Okemoi, say for example, the mitzvahs netilas daled minim, taking the 4 species. The Pasuk says, ulekachtem lochem bayom harishon, that on the first day, you should take the 4 species. Sheyesh lo shaychus le'inyan hasukah. The taking the 4 minim is connected to sukkah. Now, one can argue and say that it's not that the 4 minim have a connection to sukkah. The Eibishter just happened to tell us the mitzvah of Netilas Lulav to take during the period of the Sukkot festival, but it's not inherently connected that it has a shaykhis to the mitzvah of Sukkah. The Rebbe says no. The Rebbe says the mitzvah of Lulav has a shaykhis to the Sukkah because we know the Alter Rebbe writes in the Siddur that the best way to do the mitzvah is to shake the Lulav in the Sukkah. If they had no connection, why should we shake the Lulav in the Sukkah? It means that there is a connection over there. That's why the best way to do it is to shake the lulav in the sukkah. So what's the connection? So the Rebbe says like this: Sheyesh lo shaychus linyan hasukkah. The lulav, the 4 minim, the lulav, the esrog, the 4 minim have a shaykh to sukkah. Okay, you do it like it's known. Shemitzvah min hamufchar. The way to do the mitzvah in the best way, in the choicest way. Of course, you can do the mitzvah lulav, you can do it in your house also. You can do it in the street. But the best way to do it is, shenetilas daled minim tiya besukkah. We want that the shaking, the taking of the 4 species should be in the sukkah. So that's one thing we do on sukkahs. And the Rebbe is going to know what's the connection between the lulav and the sukkah. V'gam, and also, there's another thing. Yesh b'zayin yimei hasukkahs, during the 7th day of Sukkot, so inyan b'hakrovas, ayin porim that we offered in the Beis Hamikdash, 70 bulls. But there every day the number of the porim changed, and it came to 70. Shem keneged shivim umis. That corresponds, the number 70, to the 70 nations. K'di'inis of the Medrash, like it says in the Medrash. So what's the connection between bringing the korbanos to the sukkahs itself? Now, one will argue, okay, in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, when they brought the korbanos, Over there was a shaykhs, but now why are we discussing it now? Now there's no karbonis. We don't have the mizbeach. We don't have the Beis Hamikdash. We don't have karbonis. So the Rebbe says no. V'inyan zeh yesh gam achshav. The 70 karbonis that we bring in sukkahs, the concept, that idea exists now as well. Because the pasuk says, "Unishal maforim sefasenu." We'll make up for the bulls with our lips, which means when we daven and we say the korbanos, that's bringing the korbanos. Okay, so you may think, well, it's not really, because there's no physical korbanos, but the Rebbe Taich unishalma can mean we'll make up. We'll make up with our lips instead of the parim. But nishalma can also mean shlemus. That it's b'shlemus. It's not just making up like something secondary. It's making up completely. Ubefrat al pi hamevuer, especially according to what's it's explained, the nishalma, when it says nishalma, it's not just the idea of making up tashlumim to make up for it. Elegam meloshin shlemus. The Shalom also means in a wholesome way. Hainu. So what does that mean? Shagam bizman hagolus. Also in the time of exile. Ayidei amiras psuke hakarbonis. The ayin porim, by saying the karbonis of the 70 porim that we say in the davening during the musaf on sukkahs. The idea is complete. It's not just a makeup, but it's you're fully, completely doing it. Now, how could we say fully? We don't have physically, we don't have any korbanos fully. So it says, V'av. But the Rebbe says, it's actually because we don't have it in Maisa. But the Rebbe says, saying it, speech is considered to be a small action, may not be a full action. But it even comes down to Maisa. Even though in the time of Golus, Mikivon Shahapu'ula, Hirak al Yidei Sifasenu, since the act is only our lips, we don't have a physical korbanos, and therefore Ein Ze Niker Begolui Begashmius, it's not recognizable, revealed way physically, so we don't have a physical seeing or korbanos. And certainly we don't see it in the materialistic of the world. In materialism, the physical world, we don't see, there's no korbanos over there. Physically, and certainly not materialistic world, we don't see it. So how could we say that it's fully, that it's complete, that now, even without a mizbeach, we still have the full impact of a mikol mokoim? Nevertheless, mikivon she'akimas svosov havi ma'isa. The rule is when a person bends his mouth, his lips, by bending the lips, by speaking words, that's called a small action, havi ma'isa. That is an act, because you're actually doing, as explained at length in the Tanya. So since we are saying words, our lips are doing something. So now, on a spiritual level, it's complete, mamish, complete on the spiritual level. And it also comes in a small, at least minimally in a small level. So therefore, what Rebbe is saying, that even the 70 korbanos that took place physically in the time of the Beis Hamikdash take place now too, when we daven and when we say that. So the Rebbe wants to know, so we have two matters that the Rebbe said that are associated with Sukkah. First of all, the level of the lulav, which has to be done in the Sukkah. And then the act of the korbanos, even though today we don't have physical korbanos, but the speaking about a davening has to do. So what's the shayches between these matters, between the lulav, the four species, and the korbanos with the sukkah? What is the connection of these matters? Which is the tilas dalad minim, the taking of the dalad minim, and the hakrovas ayin porim, and the bringing of the 70 nations, le'inyan hasukkah, to the idea of sukkah. Now the Rebbe is going to bring out another point. In that year, Sukkot came out on Shabbos. And when Sukkot comes out on Shabbos, we don't blow the shofar and we don't take the lulav. On Rosh Hashanah Shabbos, we don't do the shofar, and in Chutz La'aretz, nowadays we don't do the lulav. So there's a difference between the time of the Beis Hamikdash and now. The Rebbe will explain that as well. V'hinei kasher Yom Tov Rishon shel Chag Chal Liyes b'Shabbos, when the first day of Sukkot comes out to be on Shabbos, Hikviyas Shana Zu, as it was that year, that was in Tovshin Lamed Vov. Yesh chiluk bein zman habayis lizman hagolus. So there is a difference between the time of the Beis Hamikdash to the time of Golus, like we spoke before about the Korbanos. The physical Korbanos were brought only when there was a Beis Hamikdash. Mashenkin after not. There's also a difference when Shabbos, the first day of Sukkot is Shabbos. There's a difference between Zman HaBayis and Zman HaGolus. And this is Ubedugmas ki shofar b'Yom Tov shel Rosh Hashanah shechal liyas b'Shabbos. Similar to the blowing of the shofar on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, which comes out on Shabbos. So over there, also they would be blowing the shofar in the Beis Hamikdash, but not in the rest of Yerushalayim, the rest of the city. They would not blow. So similar to that is Bizman Habayis, that during the time of the Beis Hamikdash, b'Yom Tov Rishon shel Chag Lulav Doiche Shabbos Abigvulin. Over there, this is even more than before. This is even more. By shofar, they wouldn't, even in the Beis Hamikdash time, they would not blow anywhere in outside of the Beis Hamikdash. But by the lulav, so during the time of the Beis Hamikdash, Yom Tov Rishon Chag Lulav Doiche Shabbos HaBegvulin, even in all of Yerushalayim, all of Eretz Yisrael, everywhere, it would be overriding. Umshechorav Beis Hamikdash, but once the Beis Hamikdash has been destroyed, no longer the time, we're not living in the present Beis Hamikdash. Ein lulav doiche Shabbos gam b'Yom Tov Rishon. So lulav does not push the Shabbos away even on the first day Yom Tov. Kimavur Mishnah Gemara has explained Mishnah Gemara. So the Rebbe is going to explain all this later on, pointing out to a difference between the time of the Beis Hamikdash and nowadays, just like with regards to the Kabbanis, that in the time of the Beis Hamikdash they would take the first day Yom Tov, lulav would be taken everywhere. But now the Beis Hamikdash is destroyed, we don't have the lulav either, as explained in Mishnah Gemara. Okay. Base. So the Rebbe is going to explain now that essentially the sukkah is a continuation, and it is a follows the Yom Tovim from beforehand. It follows Yom Kippur. It follows the Aseres Yemei Tshuva. And so And the Rebbe is going to ask a few more questions over here. To the point of the explanation in all of these matters, the sukkah hu inyan hamakif. So first the Rebbe explains that sukkah surrounds. It's around the sukkah encompass. Everybody goes into the sukkah. The sukkah encompasses in a way that you're fully encompassed. Now you also have a garment. A garment also is around you. It's not inside. Food goes inside you. A garment is around you. But a garment is measured according to the individual part that you're wearing. The shirt, the hat, the pants, they're all measured by the individual. They're surrounding, but they're still measured by you. A surrounding like the sukkah, that encompasses you without any distinction. It says the sukkah inyan hamakif. Sukkah is the makif, encompasses. It's not like the surrounding of a garment. This is a higher makif. It's a higher level makif. A garment, although it surrounds, but there is a difference in the garment. There is levushe harosh. There's garment that you put on the head. Levushe haguf, you have a garment you put for the body. Levushe haregel, and garments you put for the foot. So there is distinction. There's different garments. And also each person has a different size. We call echod ve'echod, and then by each individual, lifi midas hamelubesh boy. It's according to the measure of the one who dresses up in the garment. So while the garment surrounds, but it first of all surrounds every part differently, separately, and also each person is surrounded according to their measure. That's called the makiv hakorev. That's close. Masha'enkein hamakiv, the sukkah, as opposed to the makiv of sukkah, she'en boy hischalkus. There is no different. It encompasses you all of you. Now, generally we say the size of the sukkah, it should be surrounding you and your majority. That's Rosh Veruba. And the Rebbe explains Rosh Veruba doesn't mean you and a majority. Meaning it means all of you. It's an expression you say you and the majority, which is another way. A sukkah surrounds the person all the shadei who makif as Roshoi Veruba. He surrounds the head and most of the person. The Rebbe explains, Shakavona bazeh, when we say the head and the majority, is is as if we said his head and all of him. Kirubei kikulai, because the majority is like, basically the sukkah encompasses all of you, which is not measured with each part of the body. The head, the body, the foot, all one, not measured each, not a separate levush for each one. Okay, so now sukkah is makif, and sukkah is beyond, and it encompasses everything. But then when you say the idea of to sit in this sukkah, to settle in this sukkah, the idea of settling in the sukkah means to bring it down in a settled way. But makif surrounds you. Makif does not settle in. Settling in represents coming, comes in a pnimius, it comes in an inside. How do we say basukkos, take the makif teshvu, settle it? So we need to understand mashakosu basukkos teshvu. What does it say in the sukkahs? You should settle, sit. As the question in the many Maimorim of our Rebbes, our leaders, and also in the Hemshech Tosam above. The question is, Hare Makif, generally when we talk about encompassing, surrounding, Ubefrat Kehanal, especially like the above, Amakif, which surrounds you, all of you. Is not in a level of settling in. If so, Mahu Aimer, what is he saying? Basukas Teshu. What is he saying? You should settle in the sukkahs. How do we do that? V'gam Aimer, and also it says Basukos Bebeis. In the sukkah you should settle, as if it could have said maybe build a sukkah and go there, but it says Basukos. It has been the sukkahs. And this is something the Rebbe points out now. It doesn't say one time, it says 3 times to settle in the sukkah. This idea is Yashu b'sukkah. He says it 3 times. Basukas Teshu Goimer once, Yeshu Basukas Goimer twice, and Basukas Shaftis. I settled them in the sukkahs. Keeps on talking about settling in a pnimis. So what does it mean, the sukkah, to come down in Yishashus? And then there's another question. The pasuk says the reason we sit in the sukkah is so that we know that Hashem has settled them in the sukkah in the past. So there is no really interruption of the mitzvah of sukkah. Sukkah has been done every time, since every year, since the Eibishter commanded us to sit in the sukkah. We're sitting in the sukkah all the time. Usually when we say, oh, we want you to do this to commemorate something that was in the past, but actually we're doing the mitzvah now as in the past. We keep on doing it every year. We don't have to remember something. It's never stopped. It's been going on forever. Gam tzorich lahavin. Also understand, we need to mashakosu leman yedu dereseichem ki basukos asafti goimer, so that the generations know that I have settled you in the sukkahs. So what does it mean? Shahatam lebasukos teshu. Why am I telling you it's in the sukkah? Ubichdei, that's in order. Shahadoiris haboyim, the future generations, yedu, they should know ki basukos shafti, that I settled them in the sukkahs when they went out of Mitzrayim. So what does that mean? The mekivon shem mitzvah sukkah eino min mitzvahs hatluyos ba'oretz, since the mitzvah of sukkah is not a mitzvah which we hinges on the Eretz Yisrael. You don't have to be in Eretz Yisrael. And that means you're always going to do sukkah, whether you're in Eretz Yisrael or not. Doesn't matter. You have to make a sukkah. And also, v'loy min mitzvahs hatluyos bizman habayis. It's not also the mitzvah which depends on the time of the Beis Hamikdash. So that means it's always yiyah kiyuma b'meshach kol hadeiros. So you fulfill it all generations. You're always doing sukkah. There's never interruption and never stop. And this will go on forever. Ki haTorah hazois lo tiyeh muchlefes chas v'sholem. This Torah will never be exchanged. This Torah will stay forever. So that means that we'll always be connected. We'll always sit in the sukkah every year without a stop. V'imkein, so therefore, so this knowledge, the knowing that I said in Sukkah shall doiros haboyim, of the future generations, how are they going to know that Eibishter said in the sukkahs? So you're going to sit in the sukkah. That's the way they're going to know ki basukos shafti. So why does the pasuk say ma basukos teshu goimer leman yedu dereseichem? So that Sukkah's Teshuvah, so that the future generations, as if to say the future generations might not know it, so I'm telling you to sit now, so the future generations know it. How are the future generations going to know Tia through the fact that the earlier generations were sitting in the sukkah, so they're going to know later on. They're going to know because they themselves are going to sit in the sukkah. So why are we saying that the way they're going to know that Tzeisi is by the previous generation sitting in the sukkah? They know it because they themselves are sitting in the sukkah. So why does the pasuk say that Leman Yedu Dereseichem is the reason for sukkah? So the Rebbe asked over here, first of all, since Sukkot is the real makif, why does it say, what is the meaning when it says Teshu, Yeshu, Yishavti, the year of yeshiva? We know a makif is not in a settled way, and here it emphasizes Bas Sukkot Teshu. And also, it seems like that telling them to sit in the sukkah so the future generations should know. But the future generation is going to know because they themselves are going to sit in the sukkah. The sukkah is something continuous. Okay, let's leave it over here.
Okay, see you then. Bye-bye.